Okay, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We've got some problems with the servers for anybody who's at home. So I'll call the meeting to order here. The agenda, any additions or deletions? Dustin's moving the agenda. Okay, now we're going to go into the public hearing. So with technical difficulties, if we have anything go down or anything, we'll have to postpone, but we're going to keep going as it is right now, and hopefully we can get through it all. Okay, in accordance with the Alberta Regulations 50-2020, the following public hearings would be live streamed this morning and available for the public to listen or watch. Bylaw 2021-12, Flesky, proposed land reuse reclassification for Ag IDP District 1 to Limited Country Residential District. Bylaw 2021-13, Lion, proposed land use reclassification from A2 General Agriculture to Country Residential Farmstead separation. During each individual public hearing, I will call for opportunities for individuals to make submissions. Additional submissions during the public hearing will be emailed and will be through the public hearing process. Once the public hearing is closed, there will be no further submissions accepted. During the public hearing, written submissions can be emailed to planning@cypress.ab.ca. Again, that's planning@cypress.ab.ca. Please include your concerns about the public hearing process in your email, and we will try to accommodate as much as possible. With that said, we'll go to Bylaw 2021-12, and I will give it over to Kayleen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we're just, we'll just wait for a moment. We're just making sure that the emails are sending and receiving from the server. So if we can just hang tight for 2 minutes.
Yep. I'd be in trouble.
That's where you really hope you didn't tee off the guys that are risky.
Knock me out, maybe. That's about it.
And of course, as you feel every bump and every rock, okay, it's coming up the hill, right? So.
Hmm? Well, and if they can't, we know we've got people that are against, so if we can't get their emails, we'll be in a big trouble. Got it working?
We're good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for your patience. So first bylaw this morning is bylaw 2021-12, submitted by Benchmark Geomatics on behalf of Warren Valesky. And the intent is to reclassify a vacant 1.7 hectare or 4.2 acre parcel from agricultural IDP district to limited country residential IDP district. Property is located within the southeast of 11-12-6, as well as Plan 041-1815, Block 1, Lot 1. If the land use amendment is approved, then the applicant's intent is to apply for subdivision of the parcel. The existing title is 42.28 acres in size. Property is located along Range Road 61, approximately 1.2 kilometers south of the city of Medicine Hat, and as well as directly adjacent to the hamlet of Desert Bloom. The proposed reclassification area, as well as the remainder of the agricultural title, will have no alternative option but direct and immediate access from Range Road 61A. The proposed reclassification area is vacant, while the remainder of the ag title contains dry land pasture. The remainder of the quarter section was subdivided away in 2004 as a result of the SMRID Canal right-of-way. There's a City of Medicine Hat gas well located within 100 meters of the proposed area, and in addition, the parcel is affected by a City of Medicine Hat gas line that runs in a north-south direction on the parcel. In consideration of the setbacks that are required from the existing infrastructure that affects the parcel, admin has requested a building area envelope to be identified by the surveyor, and that is attached on the Schedule A that is on the council agenda. In considering the proposal, the construction of a residence, a detached structure, as well as on-site septic must be taken into consideration. And there's concerns that the approval of the application will result in development not able to meet the required minimum setback requirements. In terms of adjacent land uses, if we can flip that open, Leslie Ann. No? Okay. For the most part, it's primarily agriculture surrounding the area, as well as the residential resort district that is adjacent on the other side of the Range Road. On page 8, as I understand it. The proposed reclassification and subsequent subdivision would be the final title eligible to be subdivided from the parcel. Residents could still be developed on the remainder of the agricultural title, and the parcel is located within the potential growth area of the Tri-Area IDP, as well as within the Desert Bloom Area Structure Plan. The South Saskatchewan Regional Plan states that municipalities are to identify their agricultural land and to limit fragmentation and conversion to non-agricultural uses. Under the implementation section of the plan, Section 5, Efficient Use of Land, it states that the land use framework promotes approaches to reduce the amount of land taken up by permanent or long-term development by utilizing the minimum amount of land necessary. Under section 2.6.2, potential growth area policy of the tri-area IDP, it states that continued agricultural and agricultural support uses within the area are preferred, and uses other than agricultural or agricultural support uses should not be allowed unless they are an existing use or the expansion of an existing use. Parcels located within the potential growth area may be considered by the county for a land use bylaw amendment and subdivision approval for limited country residential use. The cumulative area of the subdivision shall not exceed 10% of the area of the original parcel to be subdivided as it existed prior to adoption of this IDP. In order to be eligible for further subdivision into country residential lots, a parcel must be greater than 40 acres in size, and a parcel less than 40 acres is not permitted. Under section 3.6, tri-area IDP of the Municipal Development Plan, it states that the IDP is considered the primary policy document, and all applications for land use reclassification shall be referred to the appropriate municipality for comment. Under the land use bylaw, there's a minimum setback requirement of 40 meters or 130 feet from the center of a Cypress County road allowance, as well as 6.09 meters from a rear and side property line. When we circulated the application, City of Medicine Hat Planning and Development Services replied that the application is located within the potential growth area of the IDP and proposes an amendment that is consistent with the intent of the area, and therefore the city has no concerns. Town of Redcliffe had not submitted any comments, and SMRID replied that they require a minimum setback of 30 meters or 98.5 feet from the edge of their canal right-of-way. In addition, a letter was received from Dwight and Penny Mastel. The full letter is attached to the council agenda. They reside in the hamlet of Desert Bloom and inquire if this development will have building restrictions imposed similar to those within the hamlet of Desert Bloom. The letter was received from Curtis Presber on behalf of Meadowlands Development Corporation, who developed the most recent phase in Desert Bloom. Again, the letter is attached to the council agenda. There are concerns raised that Desert Bloom has architectural controls in place to support an estate-style community. And in addition, there are concerns with the location of the proposed parcel in proximity to the existing gas well. Since publishing the agenda, I received an additional letter from Damien and Kim. No last name is included. The letter states that we are not in favor of the proposed subdivision across from Phase 4 of Desert Bloom. In July of 2020, we took possession of our dream home after 2 years of deliberating between lots, and a considerable amount of time and planning went into the design. Our decision to purchase Lot 10 was based on the area it offered, but most importantly, the views to the rear of the home, which is exactly where the proposed subdivision is looking to build. The whole layout is based upon this view. To find out now that there is no real restriction stated for the proposed subdivision is a frightening thought. That allows virtually anything that would be detrimental to all of our home values. Along with Meadowlands Developments, we have invested a lot of time and money ensuring that current architectural guidelines showcase what a great area we live in. A drop in property values would have a negative impact on taxes collected. Also, does this property not fall into a growth area? Desert Bloom is a great place to live and has the most amazing surroundings and offerings. We ask that it is not impacted with the building of whatever anyone feels like across the road. If the subdivision proceeds, we would hope that strict guidelines or covenants would be put in place to maintain the pristine area. And they thank you for the time to read and hope you view it from their perspective. In addition, another letter was received from Gary and Lorelei Bush. The letter reads, we would like to make it known that we are objecting the proposal to reclassify the 1.7 hectare parcel of land from agricultural to limited country residential. There are highlights in a person's life that they work towards and strive for. One of them is to own your dream home. This is the situation we are in now. We finally purchased and moved to our dream home in June 2020. Part of the reason we purchased where we did was for the view with the knowledge that it was zoned for agriculture. We had considered getting the builder to build the same house in the Hamptons subdivision, but the view is what sold us. I still remember the comments of our real estate agent and selling agent. That's a spectacular view. You won't have to worry about anyone building for years and years because it is zoned agricultural. So if the proposal is permitted, we have lost part of our dream home. I'm sure many other residents across 61A have similar feelings, not to mention the reduced value in the property because the view will be lost. A secondary note, but one that affects the safety of the residents of Desert Bloom and anyone using 61A and South Boundary Road, is the traffic congestion. There's already a significant increase in the amount of traffic that is causing degradation of the pavement, especially on South Boundary Road. To further congest the area's traffic with the development of Cooley Ridge developments, all those residences will be using the Boundary Road. In addition to repairs required, increased traffic, and especially if a new residential subdivision were to be established as proposed, the county and city would have to deal with both concerns. On a final note, the proximity to Schlinkers Airport would mean any residence built on the northern portion of this parcel would be on the final approach to one of the busier runways. As there are numerous complaints from residents that have been built in proximity on the approach paths to an airport, this must be a consideration. However, the airport was built before any residential zoning was allowed, so it is the developer homeowner issue. A link to Transportation Canada was included, and also a diagram has been attached, and council has printed copies of those diagrams on their workspace. And the last submission that I have at this time, council has a copy of on their workspace as well. And there's drawings that have been provided, and they are submitted by Warren Fileski, who is the owner of the land. And what this is showing is the developable area within the proposed subdivision area that's identified by the surveyor, and as well as some comparisons for Desert Bloom lots in terms of lot sizing. So just a side note, I think because there have been some concerns submitted regarding architectural guidelines and what is required in Desert Bloom, the title of this parcel does not have the same restrictive covenant registered upon it. So if there was to be any sort of development guidelines that were imposed, it would be up to the developer of the subdivision to impose them. With that being said, Mr. Chairman, my recommendation is refusal, as the proposed reclassification area is not a suitable development area due to the required setbacks from existing infrastructure. And that is my report.
Thank you, Kayleen. Is there any questions for the planner from the council at this time? Shane?
Kaylee, what is the width of the canal right away?
The width of the canal right-of-way, it's not surveyed on here, and it does kind of expand as it continues further to the west. But the minimum requirement from that edge of the canal right-of-way is 30 meters. So when the surveyor went out and considered the development setbacks, that was with the edge of the canal right-of-way in mind.
Dustin?
Question regarding the right-of-way for the city of Medicine Hat gas well that runs right through the middle. That gas well is going to be abandoned here with this project, so would that right-of-way not go away at that time?
I did communicate to the city of Medicine Hat for some preliminary information, and they had made no comment in regards to that. Usually at the time of subdivision is when we'll send a more formal circulation to the city. What I have right now is that the city would allow for essentially development to encroach upon the pipeline right-of-way, but a crossing and proximity agreement would be needed. That's what I've heard so far.
Okay, and that would be up to the landowner essentially, correct?
That would be up to the landowner to obtain from the city.
Any other Shane?
So we can't impose then building restrictions, that they couldn't put a mobile home or an old house on there, that it'd have to be something suitable for the area to match the area. Can we do that, or it's up to the developer?
It would be up to the developer to impose those guidelines or requirements. There's nothing under our land use bylaw right now that gives us the authority to impose restrictive covenants. Under the land use district for country residential IDP, a mobile home, I believe, is considered either a class 1 discretionary use or a permitted use, but they can be considered.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions at this time. Okay. Is there any written comments or submissions from the applicant, or any submissions from anyone for or against the development? Comments and submissions must be received within 5 minutes which will give us till 10:41. So that time starts now. 5-minute break. Okay, that 5 minutes is up, so call a meeting back to order. Kayleen, do we have any submissions?
So there's a letter submitted on behalf of the Desert Bloom Homeowners Association. The Desert Bloom Homeowners Association Board is of the opinion that a majority, if not all of our residents, would object to the proposed subdivision across from the Dunes subdivision and Range Road 61A. I've had several calls from residents in that phase, in particular expressing concerns about the integrity of the development and how it may impact their properties. The application does not specify or identify any covenants attached to the subdivision and is a concern as to what may be constructed on the site. The zoning would allow for almost any type of residential building, outbuilding, and farm animals. The Desert Bloom Homeowners Association shares the vision of growth with Cypress County and would support the creation of specific restrictive covenants that would allow the proposed subdivision/development to not have a negative effect on Desert Bloom in the future. Thank you in advance for reviewing the letter, and I'm available to have a follow-up conversation should it be appropriate. And I believe that's all that has been received so far.
Thank you, Kayleen. Okay, I will now call on for any final written submissions from the applicant or from those who feel they have not had the opportunity to fully participate in the public hearing. Submissions must be received within 5 minutes. So what was that? 10:47 will be the time. We'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, call the meeting back to order. Is the time up? Kayleen, do we have any other submissions?
There's a submission from Bernie Smythe on behalf of the landowner. He's the acting real estate agent, I believe. And he sent photos, I guess in comparison to houses in Desert Bloom. And we're not able to pull photos up on the main screen right now, so I've emailed them to council for your viewing.
Okay.
Did they come up? Did you get them? If you need help, let me know.
There should be 2 photos attached. Is there anyone who hasn't received the photos? Is there anyone who hasn't received the images?
Okay, everybody's got them. Is there anything else, Kayleen?
That is all I have.
Okay. That's all we have. So the public hearing for bylaw 2021-12 is concluded. No further submissions will be accepted at this time. We will move on to bylaw 2021-13. Kayleen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bylaw 2021-13 is submitted by Kane Lyon on behalf of Janet Lyon to reclassify a 4.74 hectare parcel, which equates to 11.71 acres, from Agricultural District 2 to Country Residential Farmstead Separation District. Property is located within the southeast of 35, Township 10, Range 8, west of the 4th Meridian. If the land use amendment is approved, then the applicant's intent is to apply to the Municipal Planning Commission for subdivision approval. The proposed reclassification area contains an existing residence and yard site, while the remainder of the agricultural parcel is currently under irrigation. The existing title is 26.61 hectares or 65.76 acres in size. The property is located along Range Road 81 and is approximately 1.5 kilometers south of Highway 3 and immediately east of the boundary of the County of 40 Mile. The intent of the land use reclassification is to allow for the subdivision of the existing yard site, and the yard site has been cut off from the remainder of the agricultural title by the canal right-of-way, as well as by the Canadian Pacific Railway. If the reclassification is approved, it will be recommended as a condition of subdivision approval that the remainder of the agricultural title be consolidated with the Southwest 35-10-8 within the boundary of the County of 40 Mile. This consolidation would be recommended to reduce the number of titles within the quarter and would also correct the encroachment of the irrigation pivot. The proposed reclassification area, as well as the remainder of the agricultural title, currently gains access from Range Road 81. The existing access approach appears to encroach into the SMRID Canal right-of-way. Upon initial consultations with SMRD, it does not appear that they have any concerns with the arrangement. Furthermore, upon consolidation of the parcels, the remainder of the agricultural title would gain direct and immediate access from an existing access approach on Range Road 82, which is within the boundary of County 40 Mile. We're not able to pull up the adjacent land uses, however, they are attached to the agenda, and for the most part, the primary land use in the area is agriculture. If the application were to be approved, the proposed reclassification and subdivision would be the final title eligible to be subdivided, and a residence could be developed on the remainder of the agricultural parcel. And the title is located outside of the Tri-Area IDP boundary. The South Saskatchewan Regional Plan states that municipalities are to identify their agricultural land and limit fragmentation and conversion to non-agricultural uses. Under efficient use of land, it states that the land use framework promotes approaches to reduce the amount of land taken up by permanent or long-term development by utilizing the minimum amount of land necessary. Section 2.2 objectives of the municipal development plan states to minimize the fragmentation of agricultural land and locate country residential development where appropriate. Section 3.4 country residences states that a maximum of 2 residential titles will be permitted to be subdivided per quarter within an agricultural district outside of the IDP boundary. Council may allow for 1 vacant single country residential title or 1 farmstead separation titles with no more than 2 residential titles to be subdivided per quarter. All new country residential subdivision proposals may be approved, provided that the subdivision does not conflict with the existing adjacent land use or other provisions of the plan. The subdivision does not conflict with any other statutory plans. The subdivision has immediate and direct access to an already established public roadway. Subdivision may be permitted on irrigated titles of land, provided that the subdivision is located where irrigation water is not being applied, such as dry corners, or areas where irrigation water rights are not available or supplied. And as well as the subdivision occurs in a manner that minimizes the amount of land taken up by development. We circulated the application to the County of 40 Mile, and they replied that the proposal complies with the requirements of their statutory plans and policies. The County of 40 Mile Municipal Development Plan encourages the consolidation of subdivided parcels to create more viable farming units. And in addition, there's an existing access approach from Range Road 82, and there are no concerns with the current access arrangement. At the time of writing this report, Mr. Chairman, there were no written comments or objections. And therefore, my recommendation is approval as proposal complies with the agricultural strategy under the implementation of the plan of the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan, as well as section 3.4N of the county's municipal development plan.
Thank you, Kayleen. Is there any questions of the planner from the council? Darcy?
What's the reason for the consolidation? Because of access?
I believe the reason for the subdivision is for family estate planning. And then the reason for the consolidation is because we need to reduce the number of titles within the quarter. So if there is no consolidation, we'll be at 4 titles within those boundaries.
What's on the other side of the track? Okay. No, what's on the other side of the track where the southeast of 1084? Oh, so that's a subdivided already? Yes. Oh, okay. I'm just not too keen on the consolidation because if you look at the picture, there's 3 more doing the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, the land on the north side of the tracks is a different landowner. So I had that discussion with Kane Lyon, and he had touched base with the Beamans to see if they had any interest in doing that consolidation. And as I understand it, there wasn't interest at that time.
Dustin?
There's quite a few actually that are consolidated quarters in this area that are across quarter lines because of the way the railroad track and the canal messes them up. If you kind of go a little bit over east, there's quite a few of them you could see. If you look at the top map above the picture, you can see where they did quite a few of them already because of that.
Any other questions, Darcy? You're good? Okay. Not seeing any other questions? Okay. Is there any written comments or submissions from the applicant or any submissions from anyone for or against the development? Comments or submissions must be received within 5 minutes. That will give us till 11 o'clock. Didn't get anything. I closed it. Send it to me. What time was it sent? That's the other issue. Look at the times, right? That's what I mean. It was the last one though. Okay. Is that what you're saying, Dustin? Is it supposed to come with the 2 pictures?
Sure, that's not clear, but they said there was supposed to be more, they sent more information.
Use your mic.
There was supposed to be, I've been emailing and you didn't receive half of them. This system sucks. The developer will put architectural restrictions on the buildings that are going on the lot. Then he goes on, the 2 pictures I sent, one is a lot in Desert Bloom with the overlay of the triangle that is on the lot that we are subdividing, and shows how the house fits into that area rather easily. And the other picture is a picture of a 4,800 square foot home on one level fitting the end of the triangle on the lot. So there's lots of room for it to sit on there, but he's been trying to send more emails, but they haven't been going through. So I don't know what you guys want.
Kayleen?
Mr. Chairman, I've only received the 2 images that were previously provided to council. The public hearing for the Desert Bloom land use amendment is closed, so we're not able to bring forward any additional information after that closure has been noted. If council wishes to, we can re-advertise for a new public hearing to make sure that there's a fair and equitable process.
The question I have is when were they sent? Because if it was after the 5 minutes,
When I understood they were sent.
I just got an email now, timed at 10:58 a.m.
so the emails are going through then. Yeah, we'll discuss. Let's finish this one off. And where they got? Well, we're already into the 5 minutes here, or we said 11 o'clock. Well, okay, we're still on 2021-13. That was a 5-minute time limit. Is there any submissions, Kaylee?
So in regards to bylaw 2021-13 for Janet Lyon, there's been no submissions.
Thank you. I will now call for any final written submissions from the applicant or those who feel they have not had an opportunity to fully participate in the hearing. Submissions must be received within 5 minutes. That will give us 11:06.
So everybody, this is the draft water master plan. So just so it's not for discussion today, but hand it out to you guys, and then the 15th will be a fun-filled water day. I'm sure that you will all look forward to. I thought it was gifts, but no, it's, yeah, I know. Hey, we like snacks.
We should have had it before this public hearing, so they'd have 5 minutes to read each time.
So council, the document you received at the next meeting, the consultant will be presenting as well. So there will be a review of it through the consultant too. It'll be longer than 15 minutes per.
Okay, call the meeting back to order. The 5 minutes is up. Kayleen, is there any submissions?
Just on the Lions, and they say that they have no comments to add.
Okay, thank you. All right, with all those been read, the public hearing for bylaw 2021-13 is concluded and no further submissions will be accepted. With that, I will close the public hearing. We will go on to 3.1. Kayleen.
We're on to the minutes now.
Oh,
4-1.
sorry.
So council, before you use the minutes from the 18th of May council meeting, is there any errors or omissions? or any clarification of the minutes?
Michelle's gonna move them. Don't see any questions. Vote. Carried. 5.1, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegation requests. I received a delegation request from the Community Foundation of Southeast Alberta. I spoke to Stan with the Community Foundation, and he was wondering if he could come into council and do a presentation on an update to council on what the foundation is doing and initiatives and looking for possible partnerships and just information sharing and looking into the future. And he was wondering if he could come to an upcoming council meeting to speak to you guys.
Thank you, Carolyn. Dustin. Moving to accept as delegation. Any questions? Vote. Carried. There we go, 6.1. That's one I was looking for, not 3.1.
So, Mr. Chairman, before you is bylaw 2021-12 land use amendment, second, third reading. The recommended motion from administration is council to defeat bylaw 2021-12 at second reading. And however, there may be discussion on information that came after the closing of the public hearing, and administration seeks council's direction.
Thank you. Dustin?
I think due to maybe technical difficulties, it'd only be fair and equitable to re-advertise and rehold the public hearing in a month's time. Yeah, so I'll move that.
Any questions or comments? Darcy? I didn't see your hand moving there. That's all here.
Does it really change anything if we listen to it and say it come, like it was supposed to come with the 2 pictures?
Well, I did close the public hearing, so we can't accept anything after that. So I guess in fairness of procedure, Dustin has a point. Ernest?
Since we didn't hear this, could we just have had a great idea this would be a good condition? We can't add a condition.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Dustin to redo the public hearing for 21-12. Any other questions on it? Vote. Carried. Hopefully there's no timeline on that that's going to affect them.
It's probably more fair to them this way anyways, so.
6.2, or Kayleen?
So before you is bylaw, we'll just pass the ball back and forth. Bylaw 2021-13, land use amendment, second, third reading. I believe the recommended motion was to that council move second and third of bylaw 2021-13.
Okay. You want to make a motion on that? Darcy, move in second. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. Vote. Carried. Somebody move third for me. Shane's moving third. Vote. Carried. 7.1, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is the accounts payable listing. Is there any questions?
Shane?
Yep. I'm just curious on a couple issues. Is there a limit on boots? Because when you look, people are buying boots and the price varies from over $200 to $60. Is there any limit on it, or? I'm just curious.
Policy off the top of my head.
I don't know what.
$300 over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
Yeah, I believe you're correct on that. That's the one I remember.
And then just another, just curious on some stuff. What is travel to shop?
I can just do it. So it's mileage paid to staff who where they travel out. So that's where their place of work is. To the greater camp. To the greater camp? Yep. So they don't start here.
Thank you. Just curious on.
Any other questions? Since Shane had all the questions, he's making the motion. Vote. Carried. 7.2,
Perfect.
Tara-Lynn.
That's good. Thank you. So the May 2021 capital budget update. So what we're going to do is bring monthly an update for capital. So what was approved, where we're at, and if it's been purchased, what the purchase price was. So this is just an update for council to let you know what's going on. So, Mr. Chairman, just recommendation is that council receives this information.
Alf's moving that. Any questions on it? It's good to know, I guess. Okay, not seeing any questions. Vote. Carried. Number 8, CAO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is our reports. Is there any questions?
Michelle?
That did not submit a bid one, that was for the water, right?
Correct.
Okay.
We can talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good, that's all I wanted.
you betcha.
Dustin, did you have your hand up?
Nothing really pertaining to the report, but I just got that invitation for a meeting on June 17th.
Yeah.
Is that a
Yes.
set in stone date or?
Well, if we can move it if it doesn't work. So we're doing the MDP and LUB, and so this will be council's workshop for that. And we have really tight timelines. So if it doesn't work, that's why I sent out the meeting invite like way ahead.
Okay,
You're good for it?
no, that's why I brought it up. The day before would work, but that day I can't.
For that one, you could just give us your concerns or anything that you want if we can't change that date. Is everybody else good for that date? I know I was booked. in
Or
for it.
June 16th. Would that work for everybody? And on the 15th, you have council.
Yeah, I can make the 16th work. If that works for,
Does that work for everybody? It's so imperative that council participates in this because V3, our consultants, will be coming down and this is the start off to get the bones going for our documents, for the MDP and the LUB. We really need you guys.
Shane?
The only concern I got is I can make either day work. It's just a time, like from 1 to 3. If we kind of had it in the morning, then it doesn't, for us, some of us that aren't retired, we can, do stuff in the afternoon. It doesn't wreck the whole day.
And that's totally cool. The reason, so I believe, so why we chose 1 to 3 on the 17th, because I believe Cypress View is in the morning, that takes out 2 counselors.
Yeah.
So totally cool with whatever time.
Yeah.
I really need you guys there, and we need you there.
If it's the 16th, we can do it in the morning. If it's 17th, we're already committed then.
Well, I'd like to move it then to 16th in the morning.
Kate, from 10 to 12?
Okay. You'll send an invite out for us?
Yeah, I'll change the invite. Yeah. You betcha.
Okay,
Sorry to
have a
pick on you,
motion.
Richard.
He just wrecked his golf game. Jeez. Too hot. Okay, that's the motion. Everybody's good with it? Vote? Carried. Made a motion under the CA report.
I didn't know when to bring this up, but since our public works guy is here,
Uh-oh.
Old Trans-Canada Road, the piece of oil in front of them ratepayers that pay a lot of money, all them businesses there that's oiled. We have some very wicked potholes on there. I mentioned last council meeting that we should have a look at it and to reduce the speed and that, and nothing has been done so far, but I'm getting a lot of complaints about them potholes, and just about took my front end off last night when I did hit one.
Yeah, slow down.
Listen, people, that's the problem. It's posted at 80 and it should be actually down to 30 on that road because it is getting very rough and washboardy where somebody's gonna lose it. And I did,
We just. both
sorry,
lost the
Mr.
fire
Public
truck
Works guy, but I
yesterday.
did bring it up last council meeting.
So I think the area identified was right by the intersection on Range Road. And so that one, we actually have it coming back for next meeting for council's review on paving that intersection, because that's where it gets really bad washboardy. And then if we want to maintain an oil surface for the rest, because it seems like that's a very, that's something that we have to come back 3 or 4 times a year because of the acceleration, deceleration, and the type of traffic that's there. But that's something I'll put up the signs, get the signs put up, and but that is something that we'll bring them back for.
But in the
council's-
meantime, can we get some cold mix in them holes to, so nobody loses their front end?
Yeah, we've been, after that last snowfall, we've been going full board with all the potholes and stuff that have been identified. We did Range Road 114, that was a Volkswagen, could have got lost on that one. And so we've been going around dealing with these, but that one's, I went and drove it myself, and it did have some nice ripple effect, right? So, but it's something that we need to identify with the markers and.
Well, and the big potholes is
Yeah.
the biggest concern right now, is because I had complaints from a couple of the big businesses there.
Yeah.
That it's.
Yeah, we
potholes
did
getting
do
worse.
some pothole repair the spring there, but it just got squished right out. Anything got squished right out,
Not right in there.
not right in that
Nothing.
intersection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
Kim.
Any other questions? Who did I get to move these? No? Oh, Shane's moving the report. Okay. Not seeing any other questions. I'll ask for the vote. Vote. Carried. Go into Reeve and council reports. We'll start with Shane.
Attended the Ag Service Board meeting via video, and that's about it.
Ernest.
Milk River Watershed Annual Meeting, about the only thing was there that the river wound up in better shape. The Americans let some water run through so there was water in the Lost River. And that was it.
Dustin.
We had an Ag Service Board meeting. We took in their report to council, which we probably will see next meeting, I'm guessing. Also did some review to the grain bag rolling and recycling policy, which I'm sure we'll see as well. And then had an ICF meeting the next day.
Michelle.
Well, my report's in there for most things I did, but yesterday I had something come up. The Schuler Community Association has purchased signs for a welcome to Schuler. And they're wondering, well, I actually was approached last year by the previous president of the community association asking who to talk to install these signs. I was told that it was Alberta Transportation's right of way and that he had to ask them. Somehow he ended up with the Department of Highways that said that they weren't going to do this. So now somebody else is taking it over, and he apparently just phoned the county and they said, oh no, we can put them in. So yeah, these are Leslie Ann handed out the pictures of the new signs. There's one on the west side and the east side of Schuler. And I think that's what they want. They're looking for us to install them. which I think would be very helpful.
Alf,
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, because at least they're gonna be put into our standards, so.
okay, Darcy,
No meetings, just a few phone calls, the letter there when I was down at the museum. We'll deal with later. That's about it.
Richard,
On Wednesday, the 26th in the afternoon, I had a community futures meeting. It was done by Zoom. I'll have a report in for the next meeting, and that was it.
Alf,
Yeah, and I had an FCSS meeting also with Dan and Michelle.
thank you. I've got one thing to add to my, you have something? The Dunmore Association is having their pancake breakfast on August 28th, and they have approached for the counselors to come out again and cook for that. Last time we supplied the pancakes and eggs and bacon or sausage, I guess it was. And yeah, they just asked if we would do it. I said I would ask you guys today if you were interested in doing it again. I've got a few yeses already, so it's up to you guys. Shane,
Do we need a motion to,
should have a motion for that. Yeah.
can we do it now?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion that we supply the breakfast and cook it for them.
For Dunmore Days, which is August 28th.
For Dunmore Days, which is August 28th, 2021.
And so also too, Mr. Chairman, I'd put how much you'd like to spend on that. And I would recommend that comes from council promotional as the money.
I think last time we had $1,000 budget, but we didn't even come close. I think that's what it was for the two that we did.
Well, we'll leave it at the $1,000 budget, and that'll include
No,
Yeah, and it would come.
would that include some coffee and juice boxes for the kids?
I think the association supplied the coffee and the juice boxes. Okay. We did the pancakes and eggs and sausage.
Okay.
Any other questions on it? Okay, vote. Carried. Michelle?
I was just going to ask if you guys are all okay with the county installing those signs, because I don't think I asked it before, or if we need a motion or something like that. Because we have a sign department, so I can't see why we would need a motion, really. I think we should just be able to.
It's operational.
I just wanted to make sure everybody agrees with this. It is, it's beautiful.
Richard?
So are the signs going in on in the ditch on the provincial highway or our roads? Because it is our road? Okay, well then it's a no problem then, right?
It is, and that's where the confusion came in, is because it's a paved road that comes off the 41 right into Schuler, which is why I thought it was Alberta Transportation's road to begin with, but it isn't. It's a county road.
It's actually oiled. Ernest?
I really think we should have a motion for the signs, and because we could have other hamlets and stuff, and I think we should do it by motion, not just by, yes, you can do it.
Well, I'll make that motion.
So the community is less than, they've paid for the sign. It's no cost to us. All they've asked is us to put it in. Lesland has reached out to them because we thought that, because it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful to see where they acquired it and if there would be interest to do more signs. So we've got that ball rolling, and we would come back to you with more information in regards to it.
Well, it's still something that's not in our prescribed of what we do. And I think we should have a motion just to be technically correct. And if the motion includes we'll do all hamlets, I think that would be fine. I don't have an issue with the project. I just have a concern about how we're saying that just don't tell science staff to put it in.
Kim?
Yeah, I believe Councillor Moody's correct, because these signs they're non-conforming with our construction guidelines. So that way it would be that we got council's blessing to install them, because they require footings where we don't have that in our construction guidelines.
Okay. So Michelle has made the motion to install the signs at Schuler. Or any other hamlets that come up, or just do Schuler for now? Okay, any other questions? Vote. Carried. 10.1, Terrell-Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is multi-use equipment buildings. The recommendation is council move to direct administration to bring back more information for a future council meeting, which includes conceptual building designs, estimated cost of construction, utility servicing for each of the buildings and specific property sites within urban, 7 persons and Suffield. On page 62, 63, 64, and 65 is background information.
Thank you. Dustin?
I'll move. The only thing I had is I just had question, why Suffield? Would be my biggest question.
So currently, right now, we discussed it briefly at a previous meeting that the base may not be the first to respond. So in consultation with other departments, having equipment at Suffield would be advantageous to have it there for response. So just to look into it.
Okay,
and get further information.
The question I have with that is, are you looking to set a fire department up in Suffield then? Or are you looking to have Box Springs respond to Suffield?
And that's the preliminary, that's what's it.
Because
we have not got confirmation from the federal government yet, how they wish to proceed.
Okay.
So this is just very preliminary.
Okay,
And that's what the motion is, just to investigate and look at possible sites.
Okay, because that just doesn't make sense to me to, if you're going to have Box Springs respond to Suffield, have something housed in Suffield and they're driving up to Suffield, because it just creates a nightmare for doing any kind of truck checks or building checks or anything like that in my mind. But I'm fine with it. If you want to bring back more information the way it is, it's fine.
Darcy?
Why not Hilda or Schuler?
And that can be direction.
Just because we used to have a grader shop out at Hilda,
That can.
somewhere out there.
The preliminary discussion was that it would was 7 in urban. So if there's further direction to look at the other ones, that's good.
Richard?
We have a new fire chief. I think we need to wait for a couple of months and let his past experiences maybe can add to this discussion. We need to give him time to look at what we have out there for facilities and also to get up to speed with what's happening in Suffield, plus all the other ones. So I would not want to move forward without our fire chief's input.
Michelle?
Yeah, I agree with Richard. I realize this is all preliminary, but I had talked to someone from the Schuler Fire Department, and they didn't think that we needed a new fire hall. They figure ours is fine for what it does. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay. Dustin?
Well, and I guess that's why this is just preliminary investigation. It's more in the costs and conceptual designs. So just keep it moving ahead, and it's within the next 6 months, right? It's just to keep it going. So wherever it deemed fit, I know You say Schuler doesn't, but Hilda does because they're just falling apart. So that's kind of where the whole epiphany with the joint thing came together in the first place. So that's why I think it's advantageous to keep it moving ahead and at least get some cost estimates and whatnot. And what we choose to do with it from there is the next thing.
It's just preliminary, so Darcy?
I see it as more of a benefit for the travel time on the graders than anything. The fire's just kind of getting thrown in with it.
Yeah. Ernest?
Yeah, I like this concept. You know, you can build a bigger building cheaper than you can build two smaller ones. And I mean, they sort of go together in the essential service of a community. And I mean, we run some of those graders, I think we spend more time roading them than they do grading.
Richard?
Yeah, I forgot about the grader shed part of it, which I think council has agreed that it is very, very important to eliminate some of that driving back and forth all the time. And I'm agreeing on this study because I think it's going to come up that even if the fire hall is adequate, whatever we do will make it possible that when a new fire hall is required in any of those hamlets, it can just be added on to the same site to make it work. But I think in the meantime, we need public works input. We need our grader foreman's input as to what works now. I looked at, we have a shop down there by Elkwater. If I was talking to the operators, what do they like and what don't they like? And we're not going to do Taj Mahals, but we definitely need to give them something that they can drive it in and out of without a bunch of trouble. So I think we just carry forward and get some more information.
Okay. Oh, did I forget to get a motion again? Did you make it? Okay. Dustin made the motion. Any other comments? Yeah.
Can we just take the hamlet names right out? Just say hamlets, okay? Because it would not be fair if we didn't do every one.
Well, at least look at everyone. Yeah.
Comes back with the recommendation.
Yeah. It's clear as mud in that. Good with it? Vote. Carried. 10.2, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Benefit cost for roads to residents. Recommended motions, council direct administration to bring it back. Policy R14 with amendments on page 64, 65, and 66, and the 67, 68 to 70, I believe. Nope. To 69 has backup information in regards to roads to residents. So in there, it shares about what assessment is needed to pay back what the county currently contributes. So your return on investment, you need to have a significant amount of home being built for the 75-25 for return on investment. So we're asking that council asks administration to bring back the policy with amendments.
Richard?
So I think I'm doing this right. I'm going to go with recommendation number 1 with amendments. And for discussion purposes, I would propose that it's 50-50, not 75-25 anymore. Half and half.
Shane?
Well, I disagree. I think what we got to look at here is a lot of this, when these new houses are being built, and that out in the country, a lot of times it's the kids that are building these, and that We want these young people to be able to take over these farms and ranches. So we don't want to discourage them building and not drowning them in costs on a road. And that because we need these young people.
Darcy? I think initially what will play out the scenario or what happens is the only way we're going to get anything out of this is if we do it now, because what happens is just like Shane was alluding to, is a family builds a house, then the kids come along, all of a sudden the school bus goes there, they come in here and the county ends up building the road for nothing. So the 75-25, at least we get 25% out of it, because that's exactly what happens, right?
Ernest?
I have various opinions on this, but I think the one thing we need to look at when we're doing this is, and I know this has happened, somebody builds the road, then somebody goes down the road another mile or two, and puts another house, and they get the benefit of the guy that built the first chunk of road, and it may be through a coulee that they spent a ton of money on. And then the next guy gets to do it cheaper. So where I'm going is, if somebody upgrades a chunk of the road and the guy that goes next, they should get some benefit from that road, because if the first guy wasn't there, they'd have to build the whole 2 miles as an example, or through the coulee or stuff. But I think this is probably a necessary evil. I think we have to be careful how we do it. And
Darcy?
There's the endeavor to assist there for 5 years. We could, covers just what you were talking about. If somebody uses that road within 5 years of them building it, then they have to share the cost.
Yeah, within
5 years, to me, 5 years really isn't long enough. It should be longer, but it's a different issue.
And that can be including the amendments. Yep.
Anybody else?
And also too, Mr. Chairman, this is part of the municipal development plan discussion as well, looking into the future and how you afford the infrastructure.
This will be brought back, so I'll wait until it comes back before I say anything. No, that's okay. Well, I'm not chicken. You don't want to hear it. Oh. Any other questions or comments? Ernest?
I know, like, we want the high grade standard road, but there are certain areas, I know there's areas of road where we got roads now that they're like 7 inches high and they never drift in because of their location. Like, if they're historically not a snow area and there's an existing road. So now if you got a little road, if I got this right, and it's a county road, but if you want a development permit there, you have to build it to high grade standard. But some of these roads, and honestly never have snow on them because they're on a coulee bank or whatever, and they blow clear. So to make somebody build a $100,000 road that never snows up, I know it's a bit of a tricky problem, but I think we should somehow try to be fair.
Michelle?
Yeah, that scares me a little bit, is just because where does that line get drawn? Like, somebody say we have to make them build a high grade road where the next person only has to build, doesn't have to be high grade. I think that's just going to create a lot of trouble. I think we should just keep it as not necessarily they all have to be high grade, but they all have to be the same, no matter what we do. And I'm not too sure about this, the 50-50 thing either. I think that 25-75 is better.
Shane?
I agree with Michelle, because I mean, if we keep it at a high grade, you gotta look down the road, down the future. Like Ernest said, maybe somebody else builds down and we don't know what's down the future, down the road. Maybe somebody else is gonna build a feedlot or whatever. I mean, we gotta keep the standard the same, and it should be all high grade, because we don't know what bigger trucks, more traffic. So that's my opinion.
So this will be further fleshed out with the discussions for the municipal development plan as well, because with the rate of return and paying that off, there needs to be a balance, and council needs to determine that balance of what we can afford. And versus, we want development, so it's a balancing act, and that'll be further fleshed out. And then also to their standards because of liability for emergency vehicles and such. So that'll be further discussed with the MDP, and we'll bring this policy back.
Richard?
So one of the reasons it's come forward is the fact that we have to look at how we're spending our money and what we're doing, right? So that's why I threw it out there. Good discussion. I would be curious to see what our neighbors are doing, how they budget for the roads, 40 Mile and up by Katy Valley, County of Newell, yeah, Wheatland. It would just give us an idea. Are we being overly generous? I agree, Ernest, that it's nice to help those people out. At the same time, though, we have to start looking to find ways to save money, and maybe that's one of them, right? So if we could have that information when we do our next discussion, that would be awesome.
Darcy?
I don't think we have any 50-50 roads anymore, because don't we have it in our bylaws that you have to build off of a main road?
Jeffrey?
No, but you have to build off of a main road. So that means it's there already. So you only got the 75-25. We don't take you to the quarter anymore.
So I believe our policy says that if it's a cost share of 75% and 25% by the developer, as long as it's to the main access point of wherever the closest point is to provide access to the property. If the developer chooses that he wants to extend the road further past the closest access point into the property, then at that point, the policy basically says that the developer has to pay 50% of the cost to extend for whatever the length of that section of road is. Yeah. So the developer is responsible to have to pay additional percentage costs if he wants to go past the closest point of access to whatever his property is. So if he was at the south end of the quarter section but wanted to access at the north end, that's where he has to pay a higher percentage.
Okay, so I had it backwards. We don't have any 75-25s anymore. They're all 50-50s.
No, they're all 75-25.
No, a new subdivision has to be adjacent to a main road now. Right?
Yes, that's correct. So there's a difference between, so if somebody wanted to subdivide off a vacant parcel of land, then in order for that subdivision to be eligible, that's correct. Under the municipal development plan policies, it says the property has to be accessible to an existing public road. However, if somebody wants to build just a residence on their existing agricultural land where no subdivision is being taken out, then that's where these road policies come into play.
Shane?
Oh, Jeff, it'll be for clarification. So when you say public road, how about an undeveloped road lots?
Sorry, I should have clarified it. The municipal development plan policies say it has to be an established public road. So that means to some sort of standard, grade standard, not an undeveloped road allowance as you're asking about. So, yeah.
Okay. Who made that motion? Richard. Okay. To bring back with more detail in the future. Any more questions?
It was just for discussion to start it out with. I made the motion and then I said for
Just threw it out.
discussion,
Yeah, just threw it
I'll
out.
throw 50-50 and
Yeah.
that got your attention.
Okay, vote. Carried. 10.3, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seniors Week designation, recommended motion that council move to declare June 7th to 13th, 2021 as Seniors Week in Cypress County to celebrate seniors and their valuable contributions to the county and the community.
You're making it? Michelle felt sorry for you, so she made the motion. Vote. Carried. 10.4, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Business View Magazine. Cypress County has been approached by Business View Magazine to do a feature article in the August 2021 edition. And so how it is at no cost to Cypress County. What the Business Magazine does, it goes out to our vendors and our businesses and asks if they would like to advertise. When I was at Paint Earth, we did this probably a decade ago. It gives great exposure to the municipality in pretty much North America. And so we would like council's consideration to move to partner with the Business View Magazine for a feature article in the August 2021 edition.
On the phone call with that, we're one of 5 in Alberta that have been contacted for it. So we're the one in the south. So, Alf, you're making the motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we follow up on this and go ahead with it.
Any questions on it? Vote. Carried. 10.5, Terlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The FCM federal grant for asset management. The recommend motion that council direct administration to apply for the FCM asset management grant. We brought one previously, but we need a little more detail on it, and this motion is the appropriate one for the grant app.
Okay. Dustin's moving it. Any questions? Vote. Carried. Okay, there'll be a little discussion on this next one, and lunch is here already, so we'll break right now for lunch and come back at 20 after 12.
Okay, here it is. I'm not sure we go to the same
The old timer might find his way back, but we'll worry about it later. Somebody should put a bell on him. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Oh, where'd my sheet go? I guess this one would be over to Leslie Ann for 11.1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before you, we have the 2021 Recreation Capital Funding Requests. So on page 75 has an outline of all the requests that we received from the association. So a couple years ago, Council amended the Rec 2 Recreation Annual Grants Policy. And so now for the operating and small project grants, once the budget is passed, then those funds are automatically dispersed to the associations. And that has been done for a total of 150,000. So kind of in that fund, or what we allocate for rec funding, leaves 144,240 remaining for the capital grant requests. We've received 6 capital grant requests totaling $161,991, leaving a negative amount of 17,751. This year's a little bit different, as the Dunmore Community Association is requesting 102,000 for the all-season outdoor covered skating rink. So what they're doing is basically they're redoing the rink and they're putting a roof on the building. And then in hopes years down the road, then the next step would be, if they wanted a hall, then they would close the sides in. They also have stated that if we went through with this funding, that they would not be coming back for 4 to 5 years. So it would just kind of be just for this year, the one sum. Because the amount is so much and because it's in a park, staff was maybe suggesting that council would want to fund this from cash in lieu or money in place of municipal reserve. And that fund's sitting about at 900,000 right now currently. The remaining requests are attached. They're, fairly straightforward. I kind of looked over them. It's just council's decision if they want to fund them. The other one I wanted to bring light to was the 20-mile post, and that's to do with the museum and urban. So we have earmarked about 20,000 in there. So what it is we've had a few people out there taking a look at this building, and this building, I think at one time was kind of everything, even the immigration office and stuff. So there's a lot of historical history behind the building, and the roof needs to be repaired. But you know how it is once you take the shingles off, and then you might have to replace trusses and stuff. So they've actually just submitted another, some more information this morning, and I've printed it off. And now it's kind of up to 45,000, but they actually haven't received the quote. So Tara Lynn was thinking maybe we need to actually have somebody go out and assess the building. So I don't know. Darcy can maybe speak a little bit more on that one. But yeah, other than that, it's just council just kind of needs to decide if they want to fund them all or where they want to fund them from.
Thank you, Leslie. Darcy, did you want to add in on that roof information?
Yeah, if you go down and look at the building, they were just going to replace the shingles, and then when they got to looking, the roof's basically wow and in the middle. So I'm pretty sure when that comes off, there's going to be some rafters and stuff that needs to be changed. And the quote they got, I think it was basically just for the shingles. So I think best option is to hold out with this one for now, send somebody down there that knows what they're doing and get a real price before we commit to anything.
We get Dustin.
Do we own that building? We do. So really in the grand scheme of things, that could be funded out of the capital repair fund or whatever that fund's called that we have. So we could just take it off of this and postpone it until we get a better assessment on it. So I'm fine with all of this really, to do with the Dunmore one. I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are, but I don't know. I think it's a good addition and we may as well, but I think it doesn't belong in rec. I think it would be more of a cash and lieu thing because we can. It's in a park and that's, well, what better place to spend cash and lieu money than in a park? I was just looking at the 7 one. It's the first time I actually seen it. I don't know, what do you guys consider on that, capital or that replacement fund to be? I look at that and I think some of that could probably come out of, that fund instead of out of, grant funding.
Which one are you talking about?
So on the 7 persons one where we've got that building maintenance fund, like I can't remember what the exact wording for it is, that we had set aside on top of the capital fund. That was quite a few years back. We did that. And I was just thinking some of that, like the insulation for one, that would be more of a building maintenance thing where that's kind of where that fund was designed for. And I'm not sure on replacing the doors. I know Janet had said to me that they were going to apply for CFIP for that, but I'm not sure if they'll get funding on that either. So,
Mr. Chairman, there's 5.3 in building replacement.
it's not the building replacement fund though. There was another fund that we had set up for that.
Accelerated.
It was 100,000 or something.
Yeah, there was $100,000 a year to do that sort of major building maintenance that we set aside to keep it out of the rec funding. I don't remember what the fund was called though. Do you remember what that was, Richard? That was.
You guys had called that fund major capital.
Okay.
So if you, in policy Rec 2 recreation annual grants, so typically, what's done is, we fund those projects 50-50. But the rec board can examine the requests, and especially council has decided sometimes that if we own that building, like so for major structural repairs, in the past council has paid for 100% of those repairs. For example, where was it here?
Well, the foundation repairs to 7
Oh yeah, here
persons
it's
and Irvin came out of that.
Yeah, it says the board may consider up to 100% funding for capital projects of county-owned facilities.
Yeah, we had decided that it's our building. It shouldn't be up to the associations to be fundraising to fix our buildings.
So, Mr. Chairman, so there's 5.3 in buildings and 9 in accelerated. There's no other. And accelerated is quite open.
What about that? Where did that other $100,000 one that we always had go? We've had that forever.
We started that 7 years ago.
Yeah, roughly 6 or 7 anyways.
We had 250, right? Or 244 was our regular. And then we had another 100 grand over top of that we had taken out to put into capital.
Council can allocate wherever they want reserves by motion. So the important part is there money there and where you wish to take it from. So a motion of council can take it from any, like that's your fund to replace equipment, to replace buildings, to pay for depreciation. That's what that is for. And then by motion of council, you guys determine that.
So I'm guessing where we're going here is you want to take the 102 out for the Dunmore Association out of the 900 that's in money in lieu.
Yeah. So the way I looked at it, I thought the 102 for Dunmore could come out of cash in lieu because we may as well use it up because it's in a park. Yeah. I think everything else can stay where it is. The only one I seen that would have made any kind of sense to pull out of there if we wanted to would be
7 persons.
7 persons if we want to take some of that major capital out of there, because Jenner Hall we don't own, correct? Yeah, so that one doesn't apply. But if we wanted to take out of, that 7, and I don't know what you guys think, the only one that catches my eye is the insulation one. I figured that fit in there. But, and I guess the soffits could too, and to replace the doors and stuff. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that. I guess I'm kind of wondering what you guys think, or if we should leave it that they pay for some of that, or what? That's the question I'm asking.
Ernest?
I would kind of agree with you. The doors is, they're not falling off, they're workable. I think that to a point they need replacing, but I think that would be something they could handle.
Yeah. Yeah, I leave it as a 50-50 share between them on those doors essentially, and they can front up 10 grand to do them, and the county fronts up 10, and then the other move the insulation and the softening into the major capital.
Michelle, well, it doesn't really matter if we're taking 102 out of.
Well,
that, then
no,
we've got lots
I'm just
there.
saying, because then it's either a 50-50 cost share, or it's we cover the expense of doing it, and we just leave them the doors to pay 50% of. So they have to put out $10,000 for the doors instead of putting out $20,000 for the whole project.
Yeah, so in the accounting of it, just for my record, so when they submit receipts, so when I give you guys in the minutes, we have capital funding requests, and then I have another column that in the past, we've called major capital. And when it's major capital, then that's when you guys have decided to fund that 100%.
Okay.
Out of the building.
Yeah. So I look at like the softening and the insulation being like a major capital, and then the others, like I said, the doors, they can pay their half on it. That was the way I looked at it. And that was really the only one besides the roof on the 40 Mile Post building, which there'd still be plenty of in that fund for that. If it's 45, 50, 60, $70,000 still.
Okay, is everybody good with that? Michelle, you had?
That was all I was going to say, was I agree with that.
Yeah. Richard, Dan.
You were too late to get here. We can't listen to you now.
Okay, for that Irvin roof, we have a person that can do some consulting for us on construction. And I'm suggesting that instead of just going with some prices that they have brought in, that we have that, I'll call him a consultant, go down and look at that project and come back to us with some suggestions. And then also, when the time comes, that person would be available to supervise the job. Good, okay. So I'm sorry I missed that part. I had something I had to get done there, but that's where we're at on that one. Okay. And on the 7 persons one, there is some grant money for the handicap doors. And right now it's a challenge for the people with wheelchairs to get into the hall, and they have a very hard time going down the other hallway to the washrooms. So I found some information for some federal grant money, and Janet's got that, and that was only going to be about 7 grand, I think. So.
I talked to Janet last night, and that grant expired last year.
Oh, no.
So she couldn't
Okay.
apply for it, but they were going to try to apply for CFIP to do it anyway.
Oh,
so.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on it? You've got it all written down what we discussed there?
Just to make sure, so it was to bring up the R value and the south soffit, we were going to fund 100%. And then the replace the doors will be under, that'll be the 50-50. And the Dunmore Community Association will be funded out of cash and lieu.
Anything else?
Show the Dunmore people we didn't forget about them.
All right. Not seeing anything else? I'll ask for the vote. Carried. You good, Doris? Yeah.
So we're passing everything that's on this list right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. 20 mile isn't going on right now. Yeah, Les?
Could we maybe get a motion for the 20 Mile Post Historical Society for how much you guys wanted to allocate so we could get somebody in there to assess it?
I would recommend $5,000. Up to 5.
Okay, so we need a motion to bring Roderman in to assess that.
Direct administration to retain a consultant to assist the museum folks at Urban with their building
Make that motion.
to a maximum.
Okay. Sounds good.
Shane?
I'm just curious, how big is that building, Darcy?
Any other questions on that one?
Jenner was included though too, right? Okay, great.
Okay, vote. Carried. Okay, that's it for the rec. Okay. Yeah, that was in the first motion. Okay. No. You have a hard enough time staying out of that, so. Okay, I need a motion to go in camera. Ernest? Vote.
we will not be participating in a partnership at this time.
Dustin's making that motion. Vote. Carried. And we need a motion for 12.5, motion to go ahead with more as discussed on the. Michelle's making that. Vote. Carried.